today. All 5 Mississippi sheriff deputies accused of beating and sexually assaulting 2 black men before shooting one in the mouth have been fired. Rankin County Sheriff Brian Bailey.
We've already taken actions to ensure that we serve and protect the public while making sure the rights of all citizens are protected. These actions include a detailed analysis of our policies, procedures, and training of all department personnel.
Washington has stopped looking into high cancer rates in one southern state. Here's CBS's Jim Krasula.
The Biden administration has dropped investigations into whether Louisiana officials put black residents living in an industrial stretch of the state at increased risk of cancer. They said in a court filing that a resolution with the state is not feasible by a July deadline. The EPA said it has taken significant steps already to reduce emissions in an industrial corridor of Louisiana, commonly referred to as Cancer Alley.
We're learning more about legalized euthanasia in Holland. Correspondent Vicky Barker.
In the 10 years up to 2021, nearly 60,000 people in the Netherlands chose legal euthanasia. And though many were old and infirm or had terminal conditions, Dutch researchers say 5 people under 30 cited autism as their reason for choosing doctor-assisted suicide. Some experts say that stretches the limit of what the law intended.
A new survey finds 20-somethings are swimming in debt. Lending Tree says in the past 2 years, Gen Zers have nearly tripled what they owe overall. That's 99% more than any other generation. The bright side, if they make regular payments, they're raising their credit scores to qualify for more loans at lower rates. Dow down 119. This is CBS News.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed, the end-to-end hiring solution. Attract, interview, and hire candidates all in one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
News is brought to you by Gingras, Thompson & Walks, a statewide team of personal injury lawyers getting you the justice you deserve. Call 855-954-1186 for a free consultation.
For Civic Media News, I'm Stuart J. Waddles. Here's what you need to know in Southeast Wisconsin. Yesterday, pools were closed, baseball games were canceled, and the air quality warning continues today. According to the Air Quality Index website, the air in parts of Waukesha County was the worst in the country, with readings in Racine and Kenosha not much better.
There will still be some smoke hanging around probably for the next couple of days.
Meteorologist J.J. Wood with the National Weather Service says the worst of it could move out through the day today. Gang violence and not a fight between 2 girls is what investigators think led to 6 people being shot at Milwaukee's Juneteenth festival. Court records show that Milwaukee authorities believe the incident could be linked to the ongoing gang rivalry between the Kia boys and the Vey boys. A 15-year-old has been charged by Milwaukee County prosecutors as the alleged shooter in the incident. For Civic Media News, I'm Stuart J. Waddles.
When it comes to achieving successful jury verdicts and settlements, one law firm stands out above the rest. Gingras, Thompson & Walks, a $6.2 million settlement for a woman permanently paralyzed as a result of medical malpractice. $4.9 million to members of a family injured due to the negligence of a truck driver and his employer. Call Gingras, Thompson & Walks today, 855-954-1186.
All into it, Gingras, Thompson & Walks, GTWLawyers.com.
The summer heat can really get to you. Hot, sticky, you feel like you're melting. A Wauwatosa coming in July. It'll be easy to cool off. Enjoy Ice Cream Social. This family-run, family-friendly business is more than just ice cream. It's a cool community hangout spot for friends and family. Let's talk about the ice cream. 16 delicious rotating flavors direct from the chocolate shop in Madison. The perfect way to stay sweet and cool this summer. Opening in July. Joy Ice Cream Social. Scoop, snack, shop. 8334 West North Avenue. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey, this is Matt from Design Garden. Remember when the internet was new? Back then, you had to leave your house to start a business. Companies used to pay programmers bags of cash to get online. Now, small businesses can get online with a Facebook business page, or Squarespace, or Google My Business, or WordPress. But which tools should you use? Can you afford to go down the wrong path? Design Garden uses modern tools to build your website the right way. Find us online at design.garden. Again, that's design.garden.
It's easy to listen to your favorite local radio station anytime. Download the Civic Media.
So I saw it go, I saw it go, I saw it go.
But we also proved that I'm not always nice.
I saw it go, I saw it go, I saw it go, I saw it go.
But even when you're upset and even when you're ticked off, you still come from a place of compassion and
I
love.
saw it go, I saw it go, I saw it go, I saw it go.
Whereas I'm just old, bitter, and jaded.
Moving Wisconsin forward, one joke at a time. This is Kristen Bry with As Goes Wisconsin.
Yada, yada, yada.
Hello, Wisconsin!
With the changing climate, where is going to be the best place to live? 844-967-2789. I'm using changing climate because I'm not about to fight people on climate change and whether it's man-made, but
Can I?
Greg will.
Yeah.
But the bigger question of, as we, once again, as I drive on I-94 to Waukesha from Milwaukee today, and it looks like the end of days, and it smells like, it's not even a campfire because it smells weird. And if this could become a regular occurrence in the Midwest, it's kind of a down. It's a downer as far as our argument for this being a great place to live as the climate continues to change and other places become less appealing. But at this point, it's like, where do you go? 844-967-2789. Do you think the Midwest and Wisconsin is still the long-term best bet? Would you eye other places that you think are more, could withstand this better? 844-96-PARTY. You've already heard Greg Bach, but also Jane Matnair is back.
I am back. And is my microphone working?
Yes, it is. I can hear you.
I can hear you. Mine sounds...
You're okay. Okay.
Is everyone fine?
I think we're fine.
Levels are fine.
I think we're good.
We're good. Greg Bach's here. Jane Matnair's here.
I am here.
We're going to have a great show, the three of us today.
We're back, the three of us together.
Woo! But also with you, because we would love to hear from you on this topic. 844-967-2789. Where is the best place to live as the climate and the extreme weather continues to happen in different ways, not only across the country, but across the world? And so, Greg, what do you think?
Well, I think no matter where you live in this country, you're going to be touched by changing climate.
You hate that term.
I so hate that term. So like for me, honestly, I still believe living here is great. I mean, like we have a house, we have property, we live 2 miles away from a body of fresh water. I win.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like living close to water, living like and not living in the extreme south, like the heat, the west where it's the wildfires. I think where we're living is still good. I'll take the snow and the bone cracking cold in February, but I think this is a mighty fine place to live.
Jane?
I absolutely agree. I can't think of anywhere better. And Greg is right. It's largely about the water. It's about fresh water access because fresh water is the new oil.
Yeah.
It really is.
And I agree with both of you. And I bring this up because Sam Cuffle, who is a meteorologist at CBS 58, yesterday tweeted out, getting a lot of questions as to when we'll be done with the smoke. And honestly, it's just something we'll have to live with in the summertime now due to climate change. There are 488 active wildfires in Canada right now, 259 burning out of control. Smoke stops when the fire stops. And, you know, I would say she got retweeted. There's a lot of comments on it. And I think the fact that she came out of the gate saying climate change, there's a lot of climate change deniers in her responses. There's a lot of people defending her, you know, Twitter, dumpster fire, you know the gig. But there was one woman named Katie, and her only response was, sounds like I'm moving. And then someone responded to her, the whole planet has climate, bro. Which is hilarious.
That's a t-shirt.
Not a regional thing.
Unless you're moving to Mars, you're kind of hosed. And then she said, okay, bro, not every state has wildfire smoke all summer. The only time it's warm outside, I can move elsewhere and have warm weather and no smoke. The Earth's climate changes, has been for longer than people, and will continue to. And regardless of her argument, I just like in her mind, if I can project into that, she thinks there's somewhere else to go that it's going to be better. And like, I'm curious as to where that is. Because when we look at the South right now, Texas has basically been how many days over 100-degree weather, and also them saying, please don't turn on your air conditioning because the power grid is like about to break. In Florida, Louisiana, and California, you basically are marching towards not being able to insure your like house anymore because insurance companies are just saying too expensive, no thank you. I know Colorado has the same issues as far as smoke and different like fires coming in from the smoke. California has fires. Like, where do you go?
She's moving to Idiotsville.
That's mean.
I don't care.
But no, but I'm just because I don't care about her. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not asking about her. I'm asking in general. Where does one go?
Well, my thing is that there are a lot of people who have that same reaction or that same response, which is they think they sound educated when they say it, which is they're just saying, do your research, bro. I mean, if this person, she's a climate denier, or climate change denier, whatever you want to call her. So yeah, that's an idiotic way to look at it. She's not going to be any better. And good luck. Like if she says like, oh, I want to move somewhere warmer, good luck affording it anyways. Like just to take the climate portion out, anywhere she'd probably want to move would be so expensive. I mean, it's just a dumb way to look at things and a dumb way to defend them.
Well, and even if she moves to somewhere which is certainly warmer, like Alabama or Mississippi, they have tornado issues.
Yeah.
I mean, these extreme weather events, like you pointed out, Kristen, are happening all over.
Yeah.
And the intensity is worse.
Totally. And that's what I mean, that's what I'm getting at is more at like pick your poison.
Mm-hmm.
Is basically what we're getting at is if, people who are still moving to Florida, still moving to Texas, because at least where it's at now, the extreme weather that's happening there it's not deterring people from moving there. Now it may, in a decade, we may see a different trend of people leaving because of heat, because of hurricanes, because of the power grid. But as far as like, what is your poison?
Yeah.
Because it seems like, because even in Canada, which seems, fresh water, cooler climate, also it has 488 fires going on right now, which I think isn't like there's, at least from reporting I've seen, it's a wildfire. So it's like, but people have been evacuated. I just don't think anyone's actually been injured,
Yeah.
but there's, there are firefighters in there fighting these massive fires that are unlike what we usually see. So that's my question. What is your poison when it comes to picking where you live, knowing that there's going to be issues, extreme weather issues, no matter where you go? 844-967-2789. I would say the three of us still feel pretty content where we are.
Climate's everywhere, bro. I love that line.
I can tell you for sure, Oklahoma is not calling to me.
Yeah.
No.
No, so much.
No.
We have a comment on the Facebook live stream from Liz Johnson Wessel. I agree with all of you. Wisco is a great place to live, right near a large fresh water source, and predicted to be more temperate with human-induced climate change.
Ooh, human-induced climate change. Liz, I like ya. Saying the not controversial yet very true statement.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's also because on top of Sam's tweet, and Sam's a great follow. She's a great meteorologist. She's fun on Twitter. There's also a story of a meteorologist who was in Iowa, in Des Moines, Iowa. And this is from NPR this morning. And the headline is, this was yesterday. Sorry, the headline from yesterday.
WPR, I think.
WPR, I don't know.
Anyway,
Whatever.
Yeah.
A meteorologist got threats for climate coverage. His new job is about solutions. So it's basically a guy who was a meteorologist, and exactly what it sounds like. He was pretty committed to, when he was giving his reports on the weather, making it clear as far as how that is connected to climate change. And while he, like, I think consistently he said he's had pushback on it whenever he's done this, it finally escalated to there was one individual who's now been charged and convicted for third-degree harassment, with targeting him with threatening emails because of his his choice to link the two. And it made me think also about Sam's tweet yesterday is like, where is the line for meteorologists who, work on CBS 58 and WISN and like local 5 o'clock news stations where their science brain is like, this is real and we should talk about it, versus not wanting to deal with the backlash of, I would say, a large, I'm not going to say majority, but a large portion of their audience, when you think about local nightly news, may or may not be believers.
Yeah, I would not want to go into the inboxes, the DMs of, honestly, of meteorologists or weather just general weather people at all, because it's, I mean, you can't think of a single profession, especially ones on TV. I mean, just the idea of like, you were wrong, it rained yesterday, that kind of thing, let alone getting the crazy pants emails from people who are like, you're pushing a Biden crime family agenda of the weather system. I couldn't, because you get into meteorology probably because there's a part of you that loves it.
Oh, yeah.
You love
these
the
people
idea.
Are straight up science nerds.
Yeah, exactly. And they get to sit in a desk and be like, I'm going to predict the weather today, and I'm probably going to be right. I'm a weather wizard.
A weather wizard?
Yeah.
I'm going to start calling Mark Baden and just tweeting at him.
You're a wizard.
The weather wizard.
It's hard to say. Weather wizard. That's an acting thing. Weather. I can't do it.
Red leather, yellow leather.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, I feel bad. Like, hey, everybody forward those DMs to me. I'll handle them. You just keep doing what you're doing. Keep predicting that weather.
That should be a job.
I would totally take that job.
Let's come up with the job of the person who's like, you're thick skin. I'll be your thick skin. All right, we got to take a break. Still looking to hear from you. Where would you go? What's your poison when it comes to climate change or the best place to live? 844-96-PARTY. We'll be right back. Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I am Kristen Bry. She is Jane Metnair, and Greg Buck is here. The family's back together. The band is back together.
Yay!
Very exciting.
Better than the Beatles.
And that's a high bar,
I'll
friend.
take that. Sure, why not?
And we're talking about where, if the air quality that we were having yesterday, today, it looks like maybe it's going to start to get better in Wisconsin by the end of today. But if this became a regular thing every summer, because fires in Canada became a regular thing every summer, I think would you move in being like the one part of time of the year that it's actually really nice here? But in a lot of ways, people argue that this is probably one of the safer long-term bets on in the country that you can live as far as fresh water, cooler climates. And so I was just curious, where would you move? Or pick your poison as far as like what kind of extreme weather are you willing to deal with? 844-967-2789. We got Rob from Port Edwards. Rob, are you moving? Or are you going to stick it out in the Midwest?
Oh, I'm going to hang tight. I have 10 grandchildren here. Therefore, I'm anchored here. So it's all good.
Weather be damned.
Yeah, we're all in. But I think I have a solution for this smokeology problem here.
Oh, okay.
With this $3 billion that the Republicans want to throw at the rich folks, why don't we have an entire band of windmills set up state? Oh, Rhinelander, Minocqua, Eagle River, Manitowish Waters, on and on and on. And these huge windmills, and use them to blow the smoke down to
Illinois,
Michigan, Lake Michigan, down towards Indiana, and all these folks and down south. Let them eat the smoke. They don't have a problem with climate change, and this is of no consequence. So it'll serve two purposes. One, all of us tree hugger ecologists, climate change is real people, will get our renewable energy. And the folks that live up in Richville up there, they can get their smoke moved away. What do you think?
Rob, very spiteful on a Wednesday.
Rob's spicy today.
I was going to say Port Edwards, spicy Rob.
Well, I'm a little hard, but I'm kind of fed up with Ron Johnson and his. This is good for Wisconsin. Yeah,
yeah,
we all are. But I will say there's
are probably looking to call them up and give them what for.
There is a major problem though with your idea, Rob. There's a major problem. President Trump covered this during the election in 2016 and during his presidency. Don't you know those windmills cause cancer?
Actually,
well, they do. It's from the falling geese and California condors that drop out of the sky and drop carcinogens all over us.
See, now I'm just going to have a vision in my head of a big bunch of box fans all facing Illinois.
Well, and honestly, that's something.
Here you go. It's a middle finger.
Here's something I thought about during the break, and I will also pose the question to the people. If this becomes a regular thing, say like 2 weeks out of the year, if we have these types of things happening, or the summer, what will be created to monetize this? Hey, do you like sitting out in your deck but oh no, there's smoke coming from Canada? Well, presenting the new, and then someone's got to have it to make their life easier when it's just about sitting inside. Or people were wearing masks yesterday.
It'll be just like the Dells. It'll be just like the Dells.
Oh God, no, thank you.
We have clean air here. Come and spend your money and travel and roam around inside this, 6-city block dome where it's clean air and no smoke. And oh, by the way, we have concessions and boutiques and
robot world.
Yeah.
Thanks for
the call, Rob.
Thanks a lot, Rob. You too.
Thanks,
Take
Rob.
care.
Good day.
Spicy.
That was great.
That's really very spicy today.
Yes, he certainly was. We have a text from the 608. And again, you can always check in at 844-967-2789. True sustainability is bringing people to water, not water to people. That is why I left California.
That's interesting.
It is.
We have another one coming in saying, I agree with the comment about moving. Planning to move to Hawaii when we retire. Need warmer weather. There will still be climate issues, but we will downsize and live near the beach. Disgruntled teacher. Thanks, Scott Holio, Wanker, and Act 10. Brian and Sucamico? How do you spell Sucamico? Saumico?
Samiko?
Samiko? Is that how you pronounce that?
Samiko,
That's a city in Wisconsin I have not heard of
I'm
before.
going to go with that. Yeah, sure.
Samiko.
Yeah.
Tell me Brian, let me know if I'm saying that right or if we're saying that right. And I do actually, besides the volcanoes every once in a while, Hawaii is very different than it feels like the
Swamico.
Yeah. Thank you. Different than the Caribbean as far as I feel like they don't have the same hurricane issues, although it's probably still getting really hot there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the same, like they're going to be predictions as far as like how soon they would be underwater.
Plus, I know that a friend of mine who lived there for a long time, there is an underpinning idea of like not wanting mainland Americans moving there. So there's that too to deal with. I've never been to Hawaii. Ever since I found it was a 5-hour plane ride from California. Like, I'm good.
What's the longest plane ride you've ever been on?
England. I flew 7.5 hours. But I knew that. See, his thing is, this is how dumb I am, folks. Listen in.
How dumb is he?
How dumb is Greg? When up until my late 30s, I thought Hawaii was a 45-minute trip from like Los Angeles. Because I didn't know.
Because geography is hard.
I hope your baby gets pimples when it's too young to do anything about it. I don't know what that means, but whatever. I don't know, but I didn't want to wish anything really mean about it.
All right, we got to take another break, but I think we're going to keep going. We got some more text to read. What kind of extreme weather are you willing to deal with? 844-967-2789. That's 844-96-PARTY. This is As Goes Wisconsin, and we'll be right back.
Girl, your eyes have a mist from the smoke of a distant fire. From the smoke of a distant fire. Have a mist from the smoke of a distant fire. Have a mist from the smoke of a distant fire. Girl, your eyes have a mist from the smoke of a distant fire.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I am Kristen Bry. She is Jane Matnair. He is Greg Bach. And we have been talking about if with the weather, I guess, or the smoke that we've had the last couple days, and if this were to become a regular thing here, would it inspire you to maybe move? And if so, where would you go?
Yep, where's
because
the place?
everywhere is going to have issues in one way or another. Because it's like, we're not having the fires. It's just,
We didn't start the fire.
I wish I knew all those lyrics.
Nobody does.
Somebody does.
Billy Joel barely does.
If someone knows like 10 minutes of being able to recite pie, someone knows all the lyrics to We Didn't Start the Fire.
Whatever.
But yeah, I just it was an interesting question that came up between a Twitter exchange that I saw yesterday, and I still think here, but we have a couple more comments on the Facebook live stream, which you are always welcome to join if you would like to watch us instead of just listen to us. You can follow us at As Goes Wisconsin on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Also trying to figure out how to do a live stream on either Instagram or TikTok while we do the show, but that seems to be a little bit harder to do from a desktop, but I digress. Brady on the Facebook live stream says, at the end of the day, I feel the Midwest is where people are coming. Michigan is looking really good right now.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have faith in Wisconsin.
I'm feeling the Michigan love.
You
Yeah.
even before all the
Yeah.
Democrats took control over there, you liked Michigan because you want that you want the sunsets.
I want to see the sunset. Yeah.
Sure. Is that what you're calling the sunsets nowadays, Jane? That's what you're calling the sunsets, the old sunsets?
Exactly, Greg Bach.
Oh, boy. Hey.
And then we have a text from Waukesha. Where to live? Michigan and Minnesota have a Dem-controlled state government, the water, and legal weed. So
Notice no one's picking Illinois.
that's true.
Oh, it's because of the Cubs.
But Illinois is just not very scenic.
No, it's honestly,
not.
it's true. Like, I mean, I've got friends and family in Illinois, but man, once you pass Chicago, it's just flat land and it's boring and I hate it.
Peru LaSalle area is actually kind of pretty,
Yeah.
but that's an anomaly. Sorry,
Yeah.
Illinois.
Yeah, sorry.
It's a hard truth.
You're
Yeah.
basically like Iowa
You're
without the cornfields.
You're Iowa with some buildings.
What's the biggest agriculture in Illinois?
probably corn.
Probably corn.
More corn?
Yeah, corn. Maybe weed now too.
You think so?
Maybe. I don't
Outside
know.
of Chicago, you think there's a lot of weed growers?
Possibly, yeah.
Interesting. All right. Anything more to add on this topic, Jane?
I think we should. I'm looking again, Michigan.
Yeah.
I'd
move to Michigan.
I'm feeling the Michigan pull.
I would honestly, I'd stay close to a Great Lake. That's what I would do.
Trying to think if I would do Michigan or Minnesota. I feel like I know more people in Minnesota.
Well,
I don't think, again, like I said yesterday, I'm pretty anchored in, like, just like Rob in Port Edwards. I feel like I'm pretty anchored in Wisconsin now.
Oh, absolutely. You've
changed careers.
once
or
again,
something.
yeah, you're not making as goes Minnesota.
No, definitely not. All right. Well, let's move on to some headlines: the good, the bad, and the conned. Foxconned, that is. All right. The good we touched on briefly at the end of yesterday's show, since this broke while we were on air. But the Supreme Court, this is very good news. The Supreme Court rejects independent state legislators theory, but leaves door ajar. But overall, I was talking to a lawyer friend of mine, not Jim Santel, but another person who was as concerned as Jim Santel was
About
over
this case?
the fact that they even heard this case in the first place. Of like, he's like, there's just thousands of normal people walking around, not understanding how close we were to a major devastating hit to democracy,
Because
and just keep going on with their day.
Yeah, though it's Looney Tunes. This whole effort, it really is.
So the U.S. Supreme Court on Tuesday repudiated the most extreme form of a controversial legal theory that, if adopted, would have radically reshaped the way elections are conducted, giving state legislatures virtually unchecked power to decide election rules, which, if you can imagine how Wisconsin goes, would you want that to happen?
We're just going to throw out all the ballots that come from Madison and Milwaukee counties. Otherwise, everything's just peachy.
Everything's great.
Yes.
In a 6-3 vote, the court rejected the so-called independent state legislature theory advanced by the Republican-dominated North Carolina state legislature, writing for the court majority, Chief Justice John Roberts said that the U.S. Constitution does not, as the lawmakers had claimed, insulate their actions from review by state courts. To the contrary, he said state legislative power is constrained by the federal and state constitutions, as well as ordinary state laws. So I feel like this so far, we have a couple more cases to come down from the Supreme Court this week. It's felt more like a mixed bag than last summer did.
Yes. But I think something Jane said was interesting. It almost feels like they're making up for
I do.
Bad behavior.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
And-
they're like give them some treats.
Yeah,
It's like Alito and Thomas are still just going to do whatever they want, but like the Barrett, Kavanaugh, Roberts, Gorsuch, yeah, but those three seem more like can be swayed on certain things instead of just
what are you guys
strict
doing?
ideological lines.
What are you guys thinking? What did you put down? What'd you write down?
It is. I was thinking that this morning as I was listening to some of the parts of the ruling and the language which they use and how convoluted and like complex legalese is.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where I was thinking about like, these are obviously brilliant people in some ways. And so, but they, because they're public figures and like the way we want to just, punch up at them of just making them sound so dumb. I'm like, what'd you pick? What'd you put down for an answer, bro?
They're the only ones still writing in like 19th century language, but I also don't think for a second that Brett Kavanaugh is writing his decisions. I think he's got a brilliant clerk, and that's it.
I'm gonna leave it alone. All right, going on to the bad. This is not good.
It's bad.
It is bad. Wisconsin pedestrian deaths increased by 50% last year.
Wow.
And granted, I have to be honest, when I first, this does come from WPR. And the headline reads, Wisconsin pedestrian deaths increased by 50% last year, report found. And then I went on to read the headline, which was more than 7.5 thousand pedestrians were killed across the nation last year, but I didn't read across the nation. So because of the first headline, the major headline being Wisconsin, and then I read 7,500, and I was like, that's more than people who are dying from fentanyl in Wisconsin? Really? And then I had to go reread it. I was like, oh no, that's in the nation. 7,500 people have died as pedestrians, which in the nation, over 100,000 people have died from fentanyl. So it's a little different, but it's still bad. It's still really bad as far as in last year alone, 75 pedestrians were killed, which is 25 more than the previous year. So this continues to address or at least speak to reckless driving.
And are these all concentrated in urban areas? These fatalities?
I did not see anything that said as far as how it's spread across the state, but Tom Paps, who we've had on the show before, talking about reckless driving and the increase of reckless driving across the state, is quoted in there saying basically it's partially reckless and aggressive driving, speeding, and drivers not paying attention to the road. And so he said, when people are speeding or not paying attention, they're not able to slow down in time, and pedestrians lose in that battle whenever they're stuck. And
he's giving people a lot of credit because I don't think these people care. Some of these people, even if they saw you, they're not going to slow down for you.
You think so?
I think for some of those people, yes, they do not care.
I mean, not even taking in the fact there'd be consequences for their actions.
Meh.
Okay.
Look at that. I mean, look at these repeats. Car thieves and reckless and kids, these teenagers who kill their relatives in car crashes.
Yeah.
Driving recklessly. They don't care.
I have no response to that.
Neither do I, honestly.
I don't even know how to respond to it.
I don't, because I have no. Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's just I also just think I come back to how much we prioritize cars over people as a culture. I know that they're, at least in Milwaukee, and this is probably going to fall on deaf ears for people who are listening outside of Milwaukee, but Brady Street, there's a big debate happening right now of trying, there's a cohort of people who really want to turn Brady Street into how State Street is in Madison, which is pedestrian and bus only.
Yeah.
And in the last month, maybe a little over a month ago, a man named Quincy, who Mike and I know, he's like a staple of someone who's on Brady Street.
Yeah.
Just, he's always bopping around between the different bars and stuff like that. And he got hit in a hit and run accident at 2 a.m. in the morning. And had anyone gotten hit at 2 a.m. in the morning, but he is like a beloved person that community and that like people who live and work on that street know. And so that kind of recharged the conversation around, what are we doing?
Yeah.
This is a street that is like the main thoroughfare for a lot of people to get west to east, east to west in Milwaukee. It's also a heavy pedestrian street as far as people walking around. You can park on that street. There's no parking in the area. So like
people are crossing the road at any given point.
People are not using crosswalks. Like there's no speed bumps. So a lot of conversation is happening as far as what do we do? And I know that there was another meeting last night, and it just comes back to like we so much prioritize cars over people. Yeah. And it even goes back to like what we talked about with the I-95 in Pennsylvania that got fixed. It's like it's already fixed,
which is amazing.
Of how quickly they prioritize that versus how slow improvements to public transit are.
I could talk about that for decades. Like I think the other thing too is just even off the Brady Street thing is just the general knowledge of stopping for pedestrians. Like there is a crosswalk in Bayview where it has the signs. It says stop. It points down. It gives you all the ideas to not do it, not go if there's someone there. The amount of times I've stopped at the intersection to let people cross and people have gone around me high speed honking at me because I've stopped for people walking across the street has happened at least a dozen times. Because people, either they do know and they don't care, or they don't know that they have to, by law, stop for a pedestrian crossing the street at those specific crosswalks. Like, put a cop there just for like a day and see what happens. Because I am surprised no one has ever been hit, if not killed, at that intersection.
Yeah. All right. I'm trying to decide. Should we start the conned or should we save it for the next?
How much time we have left?
Much time
we have about 2 minutes and 10 seconds.
We'll set it up. All right. So, it's funny because I feel like besides Alibaba and Foxconn, I don't really know a ton of Chinese companies, but because of, Wisconsin's undeniable connections forever to
oh man, the biggest pulling of the football on Charlie Brown ever.
Whenever I see it pop up, even when the story has nothing to do with us, it's like, that's interesting. So in Ohio, instead of saving the Rust Belt, Lordstown went bankrupt. So the EV, electric vehicle startup that was supposed to save an Ohio town from going under has gone under. And it's called Lordstown Motors, maker of the Endurance electric pickup with in-wheel motor, filed for bankruptcy yesterday. It's also suing its largest shareholder, Taiwanese manufacturer Foxconn, for failing to plug it with promised investments.
Who is surprised? Who is surprised?
And of course, Foxconn's response to the lawsuit is to say we've done nothing wrong, blah blah blah. But it just goes back of like, is there anything that Foxconn's done outside of because they're basically their biggest thing is they're manufacturers of Apple products in China, but like, have they done anything where they've like actually followed through?
I mean, their history of just destruction is far outweighs anything else they do. It's their legacy.
Right?
Yeah.
And I have not researched it enough, but like seeing this added on to, well, we're going to, even in the ongoing saga in Wisconsin is like, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. It's like,
Virginia, my home sweet home. I want to give you a kiss. Mwah. I've been in Paris meeting lots of different ladies. I guess I basically missed the late 80s. I traveled the wide, wide world and came back to this.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I am Kristen Bry. She is Jane Metnair. And it is time for Greg Bach's Weekly Roundup.
Greg's Roundup. 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 headlines you may have noticed, but definitely didn't read. Corporate beer news. As Bud Light continues to face fallout from its partnership with a transgender influencer, its parent company is rolling out commercials centered on some of its 65,000 workers and partners. Anheuser-Busch's new ad campaign launched today celebrates the people that bring beer to our lives, including farmers, delivery drivers, and servers, some of whom have been the target of threats after Bud Light sent a customized can to transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney in March. And we have an update on that story and how that campaign's going right now. It turns out as long as some people still think that Donald Trump is president and others have access to low-grade missiles to blow up Bud Light cans, yeah, you might have to do something else. And you might have to do what the Chicago Cubs had to do last night and just take that L and move on. Moving on.
Okay.
That one was a long one. I don't mind, though. Washed up SNL actor trying to stay relevant news.
Oh.
The once liked and for sure Adam Sandler's 8th or 9th best friend, Rob Schneider, has released a new comedy special, Woke Up in America, produced by Netflix. I'm kidding. It was produced by Fox News. Fox News produced this trash that's not comedy and is even less special. Schneider, who has had dozens of lines in such films as The Waterboy, Big Daddy, Little Nicky, Mr. Deeds, 50 First Dates, as well as Jack and Jill, maneuvers his audience through the culture wars, COVID mask mandates, and diversity, equity, and inclusion, which makes me think that he's gearing up for his biggest role yet, the star of the Robin Voss biopic. As a side note, you may have noticed the films I mentioned are all starring Adam Sandler. I left out at least half a dozen other Sandler movies that he was in.
Yeah, he's in a lot of them.
Yep. So
is that the only way he ever got a job?
Basically, yeah, that's
because even the movies he starred in
are produced by him.
Are produced by Adam Sandler, right?
Yeah, those are the coattails for the copy guy. International birthday / age calculation news. If you live in South Korea, happy birthday. More than 51 million people in South Korea awoke today to find themselves a year or two younger. Under this system, under this current system, which has its roots in China, babies are considered a year old on the day they're born, with a year added every January 1. In some circumstances, South Koreans also use their, quote, calendar age, a mashup of international and Korean age, which considers babies as 0 years old on the day they're born and adds a year to their age every January 1. This is the example. Take Gangnam Style's singer Psy. He is born on December 31st, 1977. He is considered 45 by our international age, but he's 46 by the year age, the calendar age in South Korea, and 47 by Korean age. It's a very confusing mix, but I think it's a good idea. I tried something similar when my mom busted me for drinking at 19, and I said, well, if you believe life begins at conception, I'm practically 21. It didn't work, and I got grounded. Breaking news that isn't really news. Longtime Wheel of Fortune host Pat Sajak will step down in 2024, and yesterday it was announced that Ryan Seacrest will take over, and the reason why I'm calling this breaking news is because the New York Times literally called it breaking news. But more importantly, Seacrest will be the third hottest host of the long-running game show. The third hottest.
Third hottest. Who's number one?
Chuck Woolery. Also, I'm hoping that this show doesn't turn Ryan into a right-wing nutbag like the other hosts as well. So, air quality news. Now on to a topic of hot air and gross things. Brookfield. It seems in the midst of the Canadian wildfire smoke making its way to Wisconsin, Waukesha County, specifically Brookfield, has some of the worst air quality in the nation, possibly the world, according to Yahoo News. Just yesterday, the air quality clocked in at 329 out of 500 on the scale, which is very dangerous, which means you should make a plan if you are affected by air quality. Experts say that this is the worst the air has been since Alderman Mike Hallquist said that affordable housing projects in Brookfield would be a step down for the community. You might be saying, Greg, where's the joke? It's Mike Hallquist. He's an absolute joke.
I think you got that from the wrong person.
I don't think so. Maybe it's the wrong person. Well, whatever, Brookfield. Thanks, buddy.
I think we like Mike Hallquist.
Oh, we do? Okay.
Yeah. He's the one who wanted to censure the guy who said that.
Oh, Mike Hallquist, you rule. The other guy sucks. My apologies. I wrote these this morning. All right, whatever.
Sorry, I just didn't want that to get if
someone be my thick skin. And then finally, dead Marnock news. Towards the end of his life, England's King Henry VIII left a series of doodles in a prayer book, revealing his anguish over his health and past actions. New research shows this, and that Henry left two distinctive types of markings, one known as the manicules, which are drawings of a hand with a pointed index finger, and the second of the trefoils, which are 3 dots with a squiggle. A third less notable drawing is a combination of the pointed index finger and a small puff of what looks like wind, which leads experts to believe that this is the first time anyone has ever documented the concept of pull my finger. Did I just make a 16th century fart joke? Yes, I did. So if you want your news better, go to someone else. That is the roundup for this week.
Yay.
Well done.
Well done. Speaking of other, I saw this morning in a couple different roundups, but basically there's new drawings that were found as far as like possibly the first rendition of a pizza. And it's like from like 2,000 years old. Now I'm trying to like frantically find it so I can, where is it?
Chris Seals. He's the guy.
Chris. Yes. Thank you. The alderman from Brookfield. Mike Hallquist was the one who wanted to censure him.
My apologies.
Well, excellent clarification.
Excellent clarification. And now I can't find the pizza thing, but basically there is new, like the first, potentially as of right now, the first drawing of a pizza. It's missing tomato sauce, but it is like a round, it looks like it's a round piece of bread with some stuff on it. But it's funny because do you know that there's like an ongoing war between people in Marseille and Italy of who created the first pizza? Of like, there is like the contingent of French people who are very adamant that they created pizza.
Do you know that?
Ours.
Do you know that there is
They want to take everything.
You know, there's a huge thing inside me that says I don't care.
I know. It's these.
Sorry, Mike Hallquist. I'm really sorry to call you a joke. You're not a joke. You're a great person. Chris Seals, kick rocks.
There you go. All right. When we come back, should you, if you are in the top 5% of your senior class, should you be promised and guaranteed a spot at UW Madison? Yes? No? Is it gray like most things are? We'll discuss when we come back after the top of the hour news. This is As Goes Wisconsin. Stay tuned.
On my way to get to the bottom of this.
unrelentlessly positive.
Innovative.
Innovative?
Whatever.
It indicates.
Indicative?
Hey, can we focus?
Moving Wisconsin forward, one joke at a time. This is Kristen Bry with As Goes Wisconsin.
Yada, yada, yada.
Hello, Wisconsin!
Hello, Wisconsin. Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. Welcome to the 11 o'clock hour. I am your host, Kristen Bry, along with Jane Matnair, producer extraordinaire on the board. And Greg Bach is here, as always, on Wednesdays. And my question to you is, if you were in the top 5% of your senior class in Wisconsin, should you have a guaranteed spot at UW Madison? 844-967-2789. And not just the UW system, because as of right now, I would say even without a strict rule, if you're in the top 5% of your senior class, you're getting into a UW school.
It might not be Madison.
It may not be Madison, but you're getting into a UW school. So I'm saying specifically UW Madison, which is the hardest to get into, most competitive of the UW schools. If you are a Wisconsin graduate from high school and you're in the top 5% of your class, should you be guaranteed a spot? 844-967-2789. That is 844-96-PARTY.
Texter from the 608 says, here is my question about that top 5% gets into Madison measure. Does anyone in state actually not get into Madison if they're in the top 5%? Or is this just another inventive problem in order to solve a situation?
And it's hard because this is why admissions is hard, because different schools have different competitive levels. Like the University School of Milwaukee, Brookfield Academy, some of these schools that are basically prep schools, and the competition to be in the top 5% is very different than just some public schools throughout the state, right? So if you were, is it just within your class? Is there a measure of, because certain classes, I went to a school, when I was in high school in Madison West, and it could have changed at this point, but when I was there was honors classes, but really the only AP classes that were offered were for math and language. Like there wasn't AP history, there wasn't AP English, this was in the early 2000s. And so when I finished my high school in California, where everyone took APs, and like if you weren't in the AP class, you were like the average or below student, which I didn't realize, because I always thought it was just the super, super smart kids. And so it's like so many of these schools are not set up to be apples and oranges in the first place. So what does it mean to be in the top 5%? But also, what about sports? What about majors? Like everyone, looking at the variety of, we have 8,000 people who apply to the engineering major. So if you want to major in engineering,
that's where
you're in the top 5% of your class, but it's just like, then what? So it's like, well, we have to let you in, but you can't major in engineering because there is no space in that major.
Well, I think then the bigger question, it's if it's a problem, it's a far more nuanced solution then, because what am I going to do? If I'm top 5 and I want to do this thing, they're like, yeah, we don't offer that, or it's not as good as, say, like if Milwaukee offers something that might be better. It's not unheard of that other schools have better programs than Madison does. So, I mean, to me, it's kind of a shocking idea. Like top 5 students, that also, how many students are in the top 5 then? Then take that times all the schools. That's a lot of kids. To me, that almost seems like it's a good intentioned idea, but it's built to fail and fail someone, whether it's the student, the school, UW. It's built to fail.
So this is coming from a new bill that has been proposed by Republicans. And so basically the Wisconsin high school graduates ranking in the top 5% of their class would be guaranteed admission to the University of Wisconsin-Madison under a Republican bill expected to be introduced yesterday. So this comes from Kelly Meyerhofer at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. The state's top-ranking students would be promised a seat at all UW system institutions and technical colleges they apply to, according to the bill. Most of Wisconsin's public colleges and universities already operate as open access institutions, meaning they accept the overwhelming majority of applicants. With UW Madison is more selective. It accepts 49% of new freshman applicants, including 60% of Wisconsin applicants, 45% of Minnesota applicants, 35 international, and 51% of out of state. So that's not the cumulative. It's of the people who apply from each of those things. Those are the numbers. So this happened. Republicans brought the bill after hearing constituent calls with stories of high-achieving students rejected from UW Madison.
Oh my God, I saw
and
this.
having to enroll out of state.
I saw this. I can't remember who
My
it was.
Jimmy was such a good student, and he didn't get into UW Madison.
You know, I'm not going to speak ill of any. I'm not going to mention names, but I'll just say some dipwad on another station could not stop retweeting, which I think were completely made up, was just to fire up people. And I just kept saying things like, I thought you liked competition. What about competition? Not everyone makes it. Some people don't make it in the schools they want. No one's guaranteed just because your kid worked by your standards really hard doesn't mean someone or 20 other kids didn't work harder. Sorry, it's competition. If you don't like it, cry somewhere else.
Well, and also, I mean, we didn't talk about this because this was a couple weeks ago. Wisconsin right now was all over this,
yes.
Specifically with DEI, and they kept sharing stories they were getting of people saying this complaint. And one of them was just a complete troll who sent them a story that was ridiculous, and they shared it and didn't verify it.
Of course.
And then the person, it's an anonymous account on Twitter, who came out of retirement and basically had the receipts of that was me. You guys are idiots.
Wisconsin right now reporting the news of Wisconsin and Milwaukee all the time. No, just complaining.
But it is funny that this is the basis. It sounds like it's not necessarily the basis of looking at how many top students, depending on how you want to, the criteria for that, are not getting into Madison. It's based on anecdotal stories and complaints of my Jimmy didn't get in.
And that and that isn't that a snowflakey thing to do?
And yes, and that just goes to show that to make a broad, vague, quote unquote fix, they want to do this. They want to force this upon the UW system. What are you doing?
While also having a $32 million cut.
Yeah, while also telling them basically you can't do these things. Basically, it's just turned into UWM is just UW system is just at their knees.
And I get the argument as far as, and we talk about talent retention and talent acquisition. I guess this would be more retention of keeping the best and brightest in Wisconsin, and any correlation between if they go to school here, the likelihood that they would stay and build their career here after they graduate. But that's also assuming that UW Madison isn't already invested in that. And that the big switch of letting so many more out-of-state students into Wisconsin happened because of the decrease in funding that they've been getting, and that they needed to compensate for the money that they weren't getting from the state with out-of-state full tuition, not subsidized tuition for out-of-state students that is closer to 30 or 40 grand a year, and basically private school type money. But I will say in the article they reference that, and I didn't know this because as someone who graduated from UC Berkeley, because this says some other states, namely California and Texas, have adopted guaranteed admission policies for the top 9 and 10% of in-state high school students. I don't think UC Berkeley is letting the top 9% into the school. First of all, California is massive. So I don't know if that's for the UC system or the Cal State system, which I would have to look more into, because I'm pretty sure UCLA and UC Berkeley isn't letting the top 9% guaranteed admission.
Of all the school. Yeah. That just seemed, once again, how do you even do that? How does it operate?
But should there be any guarantees for if you're a top performing student in Wisconsin, as far as
Honestly, I think I was always told like valedictorian and salutatorian got to go basically wherever they wanted. I think any UW school with a full ride, like the top two kids, not the top 2% or top, like that was the only thing I ever understood to be was the fact that
Is
like
that true?
I thought that was the case. I was always told that like if you were the salutatorian and the valedictorian, you basically got a full ride to whatever school you wanted within the
UW
state system you were living in. Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't think they should do it. I think this is going to. I think it's going to. It's going to fail hard because you cannot clock this stuff. That's so many kids. That's so much. That there's so many spots that other kids from in Wisconsin who work hard and outside Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, all those places. You're basically saying like, all right, if we have 50 spots, we're already giving 25 away. So these, it just doesn't make sense to me. And like you said before, if they want to do engineering, they might not be able to. So what's the point? I mean,
the point is to break UW Madison.
I mean, yeah, it's they're just going to turn it into like high income housing.
Because it's just like, how do you define top? Is it just GPA?
That's how.
Because now there's also the push for is it ACT? Is it SAT built into GPA? It's all the stuff that you get back to what they consider now, which is extracurriculars and sports and what instrument you play and how much should you volunteer and what, and so it's like, how do you define top?
Yeah.
844-967-2789. Should the top students be guaranteed admission into UW Madison as per a newly introduced bill from Republicans in Madison? What do you think?
Leave it to the conservatives to think of the details.
Well, and which I think the bill should be called, "Why Jimmy Didn't Get Into Madison."
Yeah. The snowflake bill.
Let us know what you think. 844-96-PARTY. Should top students be guaranteed admission into UW Madison? Or what does it mean to be a top student? 844-96-PARTY. We'll take another break and be right back. This is As Goes Wisconsin.
Temperatures reach up to 89, a blend of clouds and sun. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Eric Height.
Up in the morning and out to school. The teacher is teaching the golden rule. American history and practical math. You study them hard and hoping to pass. Working your fingers right down to the bone. And the guy behind you won't leave you alone.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I am Kristen Bry with Jane Madnair and Greg Bach, and we are asking, should the top students in Wisconsin, top seniors, be guaranteed admission into UW Madison? Or, similar but different question, what does it mean to be a top student? We got Benji from Oshkosh on the phone. Benji, what do you think?
Hey, all. You know, first of all, I think you just clarified something for me. I thought that the bill was talking about giving the top 5% of students from Wisconsin high schools admittance to any UW campus as a guarantee. I didn't understand that it was specifically to UW Madison. So is that right?
Well, it's the same thing, right? So if they're guaranteed admission to any UW school, that includes Madison. So I'm singling out Madison because. Go ahead.
So I guess that's if the idea is that students would be accepted to any school that they applied to. I don't agree with that, but I do think if you're graduating top 5% in your class and you're from Wisconsin, graduating from a Wisconsin high school, you should be able to go to any of the UW campus as a guarantee, not necessarily UW Madison. So I wouldn't agree to say that you're going to get accepted to any campus you apply to, or you definitely get to go to Madison, but absolutely you should have a seat reserved in any UW campus because, you know, I think you said something about retention, and I think that's a really important idea, but I just don't buy the idea that top students are going to go UW Madison or out of state.
So so I agree with you. So you're saying they should, top 5% of students should have admission to at least one of the UW schools. They should be able to get into, but not necessarily Madison. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that is what I say. But at the same time, you know, now that we're discussing it, like if you're in the top 5% of your class, you're going to get into UW Eau Claire. Or UW
absolutely.
You know, you may not get into UW Madison.
And that's the thing. I mean, I think that's kind of what the case has been.
So interesting.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I thought it was so interesting because you were talking about that this is coming from the Republicans, and then I heard you guys talking about that, and it just surprised me because it sounded like something that would come from the Democrats. So I found it funny that you guys were kind of trashing it because I totally thought
well,
it
to be
like
perfectly fair, the reason why I'm trashing it is because it is a reactionary bill that seems like it doesn't have a lot of nuance to it and doesn't do a lot of the heavy lifting as far as them taking consideration all the things that have to go into making such a huge promise to so many people. If the Democrats were proposing this, I'd be like, what is wrong with them? I'd trash it as well. I just don't think it's a good idea.
I agree with you. I don't think we need the bill. I think it's surprising coming from the Republicans because it's normal. They're normally saying we need, you know, less government intervention with, you know, whatever it is, even if it's the public school system. But yeah, I would say we don't need the bill, but I'm still just surprised that it's coming from the Republicans in general. I doubt it's going to go anywhere though, right? I mean, most people think this is kind of a, you know, an issue, a non-issue really, right?
Well, we'll see. But thanks so much for the call, Benji. We got Nate from South Milwaukee.
Nate from South Milwaukee is on the phone. How you doing, Nate? Thanks for joining us. What do you think?
Yeah, thanks. I'm not going to weigh in on a yes or no on this one because I guess the issue that I had when I first saw this come through a couple of days ago is I think the purpose is really just to perpetuate the merit-based system that the conservatives have had for years. Mm-hmm. And it's another way to undermine the DE&I that they're trying to chip away from higher ed. So, yeah, so I think not necessarily a Trojan horse, but I think just looking behind to offer, I think that's really the intent and purpose.
Absolutely. Thanks for the call, Nate.
Thanks a lot, Nate.
And I think I remember, you know, there was once I saw an article about a woman who, you know, ended up she was basically getting her master's. She had just graduated from her master's, and she had a little bit of a chip on her shoulder because it was like she had a 3.2 in high school, probably similar when she was at her technical college and stuff. And she had teachers who literally were like, try to dissuade her from higher education because they just thought that she wasn't that strong of a student. And in reality, it was because she had to work jobs.
Yeah.
And she was like, some of us, it's not that we're dumb. We just have more things to do than just go to school. And so I think similar to what Nate said, having a more robust consideration of who you let into schools, because if you only have to focus on school, it's a little bit easier to be the top 5% of your class.
Absolutely.
Versus I have to help pay bills at my house.
Yeah, when I worked in high school and I worked when I went back to college, I graduated with like a 3.2, and I was pretty proud of that because I was 30 when I graduated from college. I went back when I was 26, and so yeah, I get that, and that's a very interesting way of taking it, Nate. The idea of like reducing it to a merit-based system. As far as Benji is saying, like, is surprised that this was not something from the Democrats. If this came from the Democrats, this would be like a 50-page bill with everything broken down. They'd say everything, and they talk about how much it costs, and it would be dead on arrival. Where as Republicans are like, oh no, people are complaining, just do this.
Yeah, but I think this is tied up with, and I get it. I get that it's disappointing to work that hard, to be the top of your class, to do all the accolades, and then to not get into your top school. That's
It's been
also
happening for years.
But it's also like, it's hard to be one of the best athletes in your school and then to level up and not be able to play D1.
Yeah.
It was hard to be like a good actress and go to Hollywood and then like not get cast and stuff, right? Like depending on whatever you're involved in, whatever you're passionate in, most of us hit a ceiling.
Yep.
And you have a plan B.
And experience disappointment.
And like, that's not the end of the world, is to have a little resiliency and be able to bounce back from not getting the thing that you want.
And luckily we have access to all these different things now, whether if you're to put yourself out there in the world, put your talent. You might not be the most talented person, but maybe you're charming and you make it. I don't know. There's opportunities out there.
All right, we got to take another break, but when we come back, do you have thoughts and memories about the streets of old Milwaukee? Our next guest may want to interview you.
How old do you think I am?
This is Ask Goes Wisconsin. We'll be right back.
Deliver me from the days of old. Long live rock and roll. The beat of the drums loud and bold. Rock, rock, rock and roll. Feeling is there, body and soul.
This summer, 5:40 a.m. WAUK has a new lineup. Mondays 8 to 9, Under the Helmet with the Gravedigger, Gilbert Brown and Earl Ingram on 5:40 a.m. WAUK.
CBS News Brief. Vacation disappointment at the airport.
I was very disappointed, and I was like, but I really wanted to go.
Thousands scrambling to reschedule, many in the New York City area after all the flight cancellations over the past few days. Storms causing much of the problem. FAA issues too. Meteorologist Craig Allen says there's no relief in the south, which is in the grip of a heat wave.
Excessive heat warnings and heat advisories continue for another day. The temperatures are going to feel like they're up between 110 to almost as high as 120 degrees in some of these locales.
A not guilty plea from the man charged in the chokehold death on a New York subway. CBS's Lilia Luciano says his lawyers are confident.
They feel like Manhattan commuters are familiar enough with riding in the New York City subway and understand the circumstances surrounding this case.
CBS News Brief. I'm Steve Kathan.
News is brought to you by Gingras Thompson and Walks, a statewide team of personal injury lawyers getting you the justice you deserve. Call 855-954-1186 for a free consultation.
For Civic Media News, I'm Stuart J. Waddles. Here's what you need to know in Southeast Wisconsin. Yesterday, pools were closed, baseball games were canceled, and the air quality warning continues today. According to the Air Quality Index website, the air in parts of Waukesha County was the worst in the country, with readings in Racine and Kenosha not much better.
There will still be some smoke hanging around probably for the next couple of days.
Meteorologist J.J. Wood with the National Weather Service says the worst of it could move out through the day today. Gang violence and not a fight between two girls is what investigators think led to 6 people being shot at Milwaukee's Juneteenth festival. Court records show that Milwaukee authorities believe the incident could be linked to the ongoing gang rivalry between the Kia boys and the Vey boys. A 15-year-old has been charged by Milwaukee County prosecutors as the alleged shooter in the incident. For Civic Media News, I'm Stuart J. Waddles.
When it comes to achieving successful jury verdicts and settlements, one law firm stands out above the rest. Gingras, Thompson & Wachs, a $6.2 million settlement for a woman permanently paralyzed as a result of medical malpractice. $4.9 million to members of a family injured due to the negligence of a truck driver and his employer. Call Gingras, Thompson & Wachs today, 855-954-1186.
Calling Gingras, Thompson & Wachs, GTWLawyers.com.
Hi, this is Lindsay Keinert at 540 AM and 101.1 FM WAUK The Shaw. Here are upcoming events happening in the area.
This Wednesday, the 21st, enjoy live music and local food truck vendors at the Town and Food Truck Festival at the corners of Brookfield. The event runs 4:30 till 8 p.m. It's great for the whole family. On Thursday, Summerfest officially begins for the first weekend of 3. Gates open up at noon. General admission tickets start at $26. For more details, summerfest.com. Creek Fest at Wisconsin State Fair starts this Friday. Admission is free, goes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Live bands playing all weekend long. Check out Waukesha's Farmers Market this Saturday from 8 till noon, located right along the Fox River in Waukesha. And enjoy a beautiful Sunday outside at the Cedarburg Strawberry Fest, located in historic Cedarburg. Enjoy everything strawberry, family friendly, and runs 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
If you have an event you'd like us to share, let me know. Email me, Lindsay Keinert, at info@civicmedia.us.
Ensure yourself a brighter future with help from insurance agent Stephanie Morales. Stephanie's passion is educating families on affordable, sufficient coverage, along with using your insurance for emergencies to major purchases while you're alive. Book a free insurance consultation with
Milwaukee, here I come from Nashville, Tennessee. Milwaukee is where we were before we came here. Working in a brewery, making the finest beer. You came to me on a payday night, said let's go to Tennessee. So we drove down to Nashville to the Grand Ole Opry.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I'm Kristen Bry. She is Jane Madnair. He is Greg Bach. And if you live in the Milwaukee area, you may have heard that the Public Museum, not to be confused with the public market. I baby brained that the other day.
Oh, yeah.
And the Public Museum is going to get a new building, and they have announced that as of right now, they are not moving arguably the most popular exhibit in the Public Museum, which is the Streets of Old Milwaukee. And there was a lot of
hubbub
about that, which, people are very attached to this. And our next guest is also very attached to this, so much so that she is making a short documentary as a film student, creating, capturing people's stories and memories of this exhibit. And so please welcome to the show, Mira Santos Tomas. How are you doing, Mira?
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm doing good.
Thank you for joining us. So you're a film student. Are you a film student at UWM?
I'm actually a film student at Pratt Institute. It's in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But you're from Milwaukee.
Yes, correct.
So when did it escalate for you from, oh, I really don't want this exhibit to end, to maybe I can make a documentary about this?
Well, I mean, I've been going to the Milwaukee Public Museum since I was probably before I even had memory.
In utero? Your mom was taking you there?
Probably. The rumors had been going on for a while that they were going to cancel the exhibit, but I had found this Facebook group that was dedicated to preserving memories of the streets of Old Milwaukee. And after I saw how much this exhibit meant to people, I was like, I mean, this documentary is writing itself. I mean, because a lot of the people are older, and if they really do abandon the museum, it's just going to be all of those memories are going to be gone. So
I guess since we have a statewide audience, and so for people, and actually I have to be totally honest,
Yes.
I haven't gone to the Milwaukee Public Museum since moving back to Wisconsin yet, so I need to go. So I've seen pictures of
I'm
of
outta
the
here.
streets of old Milwaukee, and I am a sucker for historical immersive experiences of like going to Deadwood in South Dakota and stuff like that. So I think I would be someone who really loves it. But how, for someone who has not seen the streets of old Milwaukee, Mira, how would you describe it?
It's like you're literally walking into like another time because like every part of the set is very detailed, and like after having talked to a lot of people who were heavily involved, like their families were heavily involved in the creation of these things, like for instance, well, this is the European village, but technically it's like part of the old streets. But one of the the Ukrainian house, like the woman that I was talking to, her grandma like donated, her whole family donated everything, like all the artifacts that are in there. And so it really has an authenticity. And the the handkerchief in the Ukrainian exhibit is like from the grandmother's time in like a refugee camp here. So it's very it's very immersive, and like you can look at one part of the exhibit for hours and just like study each detail. It's very cool.
And so with the documentary, so you're like, this is writing itself. It's going to be a short documentary. What have the interviews been like? Have you had a lot of people who've wanted to talk to you?
Okay, I think like it's a lot more difficult to contact people because not a lot of them are very good at like technology. So there's been problems with like like online interviews and things, but I guess my overall experience has been I've been surprised with how much information and connection they have, because like for me I just attended like going to see the streets, but I never knew like the background and stuff. But there's a very like I even learned that there used to be an old building with like different exhibits that like alternative versions of the streets of old Milwaukee. So it's very
Really?
interesting, yeah.
At like a completely different location?
Yeah,
That people
they
you could
moved
still
it.
go see?
Yeah.
And so have you gotten to do many interviews so far?
Not really, but I have been because a lot of the interviewees too like live far away, so it's like hard to schedule them well. But I've been receiving material like old photographs from like catalogs that show the old exhibits and things, which has been really cool. So
Here's a tip for you, Mira, for these older people who are technologically challenged. Maybe just record them over the phone, and then you can use them as voiceovers for the visuals in your small documentary. Because I can only imagine how frustrating it has been trying to set up some of these interviews where people who are not necessarily so tech savvy.
I'll keep that in mind.
Now, Mira, have you been able to talk to many people who work for the museum?
I haven't yet been able to talk to like directly to the people who have worked there, but I've been able to talk to like children of people who, like one of my interviewees, their brother and sister actually, and their dad like designed the streets of old Milwaukee. So
he designed it.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. And so,
That's amazing.
how long has the exhibit been around? I actually don't know.
I actually do not know the exact date, but I will say that I mean I've seen a lot of color pictures, so it's not like that old.
It's been going on since I was a little kid,
Yeah.
so for quite a while.
Yeah, it's very old.
And so is part of the hope that if you get this project done and the documentary happens, is that potentially to continue the fight to have some version of it in the new museum?
Hopefully, or at least to like digitally preserve everything, because
That's another way of doing it too,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Streets first opened in 1965.
There you go.
Cool. It's older than me, thank God.
And what if Mira, what if people would like to share their memories with you about their memories of the streets of Milwaukee? How can they contact you?
You can email me at mirasantomas@gmail.com. So,
And we will put that in today's show notes so people can,
Thank you.
if they didn't have a pen and paper with them, they can write that down. Anything else you'd like people to know about the project?
I will be submitting it to the Milwaukee Film Festival next year. So if you're into watching films, you should check it out, because I think it will be screening there, hopefully.
Awesome.
That would be really exciting.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Mira Santo Tomas is a film student who is trying to document stories and memories of the streets of old Milwaukee while it's still here. And so thank you so much for sharing with us. And we'll certainly spread the word for more people who would like to be interviewed.
Thank you for having me.
Have a great day. So yeah, that's like another thing that I need to be able to get on that.
Yeah, you probably should go.
With this air quality, maybe that's what I'll do this weekend.
I was
Stay
gonna say,
indoors, people.
Here's the thing is, I feel like there's these things that we need to do as a team, the three of us, and then report back here.
What else do we have on that list right
I
now?
mean, maybe state fair trip this year.
I love the state fair.
Should we do an eating contest? I'm so excited because I remember last year. So state fair last year, I didn't go at all because it was 2 weeks before my wedding.
Mm-hmm.
There was a little bit of a COVID outbreak happening. And I basically was like, it's not worth it this year. Like, I don't want to get sick.
Well, not right before the wedding.
Not right before the wedding. Yeah. I didn't want to get sick right before the wedding. Also, I was like, there's nothing there I should be eating, considering I'm wearing a 2-piece dress for my wedding. But this year, I'm going to be 32 weeks pregnant and I'm going to eat whatever I want.
Yeah.
So I am ready.
So, okay.
Dareth, we should do a Sporky's tour.
We should do a Sporky's tour.
Yeah. I agree.
Unless one of us, I feel like that. Do you know that you've made it once you've been asked to be a Sporky's judge?
Have you been asked to be a Sporky's judge? Okay.
No, we had Adam Pollock on last
Okay.
year because he was, which makes more sense since he is an actual chef.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense.
I'm a fan of food.
I'm not enough of a foodie that it makes sense. Like Derek Mosley is a huge foodie. So when he gets asked to be a judge, it makes more sense because he has like an appreciation.
He's got the palate.
He's got a palate.
He's got the palate.
Okay, so State Fair, Streets of Old Milwaukee. I feel like we can throw another couple in here and we can make it really work. It's like Conan does these remotes, be like, as goes Wisconsin down the street.
But I feel like, is the food that's going to be nominated in the Sporkies going to travel well? Or is this something that the three of us need to go to State Fair together and record it?
Yes.
Versus trying to bring the food to the studio and eat it here.
No.
That's not going to work.
It's got to be done. No, I'm talking, we go to State Fair and hang out and have fun and eat good food.
Yeah. And make content.
Or funny food and make content. And, does someone have the company card? Because I feel like this is a company expense.
Oh, I think Jane has the company card.
Be nice to me, people.
But yeah, I think we should have fun time. And who knows? Maybe we can even do a remote show. Do a remote show from State Fair. Oh my God!
Just man on the street interviews. I'm like, hey, you want to be on the radio? Come over here.
Come here, kid. I want to talk to you.
I think that's probably the next, because I think it might be too late to get our act together to do anything at Summerfest.
Yeah, that's too late.
It's too late.
Yeah, it's too late.
It's too late.
Are you going to go to Summerfest at all, Jane?
No. I haven't been
I might go to Summerfest.
I haven't been in years.
Just because
too many people. The music does not speak to me for the most part.
Yeah.
Like Cage the Elephant?
I miss the comedy stage. That's what I miss.
Why don't they have a comedy stage anymore?
I think honestly, it just had to do with the fact that I think music is in a sense easier. For like, you can get rowdy people coming into the comedy stage,
and they disrupt things, right?
They disrupt things,
Yep.
and some of these comics cost. I mean, comics cost money nowadays. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure they cost money back in the day. I mean, I saw Lewis Black back in the '90s there, and he was on TV and that stuff.
Mhm.
So I think it's just them trying to push the branding towards music. But the thing is there was such a complaint about not having comedy sports there.
Oh,
They actually erected their own tent by the old comedy stage for comedy sports to do shows there now.
Oh,
I think
wow.
they're still doing them now, but like I remember doing a couple of Summerfest shows there because it had gone away for a few years and people complained because they brought their kids. It's fun.
Yeah.
Go see an hour of it and then go walk around. But yeah.
And it's clean.
It's clean. Yeah, it's exactly. It's
Well, because when there was a comedy stage, would it be a ticketed show and you'd be expected to be there for the entire show? Because
No, you just
often,
walked in.
my experience of comedy sets,
yeah.
it's not something you kind of can just like dip in and out of, because usually like a set builds, like good sets build on itself and have callbacks to earlier jokes. And so to have like the disruption of being a comic trying to perform and have people walking in and out of your set and thinking that the jokes are going to land, like that feels...
No, you walked in and you sat down and you waited. It was like any other stage.
That's weird.
It was
but it
weird.
worked. Obviously,
It
Jane
worked.
liked it.
It worked for years. And then they were like, no, goodbye. We don't like laughter anymore.
But do you know who does like laughter?
Who?
The Milwaukee Comedy Fest.
Oh, it's a nice branding segue there.
When we come back, there's going to be some new announcements for the Milwaukee Comedy Fest for this fall. So stay tuned to hear that. This is As Goes Wisconsin.
Well, we were watching TV. Ernest Tubb was singing loud.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I am Kristen Bry. She's Jade Matnair. He is Greg Bach, feeling the Holy Spirit within in him as he dances.
The
too.
black, the eye, the
black,
peas.
Yes, exactly. So no shows. You guys, Laughing Tap has a little bit of a break.
Yep, we take a break during the summer months. We have our open mic tonight. But then this weekend and the following weekend, we are closed completely. No mic, no shows, no nothing. And then we'll come back for the open mic on the 12th. We'll have Chris Higgins on that second week in July. But yeah, we take a little break, and then we're actually going to take the first weekend of August off as well because it's.
Why do you get so much vacation?
Shut up. Yeah, we just can't go up against the behemoths that are Summerfest and State Fair. So, and it's just nice to take it. And those are just, people are outside. They don't really want to sit inside and watch comedy for an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's true.
I wish they would. But yep, no shows coming up, but still tickets available. LaughingTap.com for all our shows, including big Comedy Fest announcement. Actually, so these two shows were announced on Friday of last week. They went on sale yesterday at noon, and as of right now, one of the shows, which is the Boogie Monster live podcast recording with Kyle Kinane and Dave Stone, officially has 12 tickets left.
Wow,
that was quick.
That was very quick. So if you're listening now and you want to go to that show, they will be sold out by day's end. I guarantee you. So buy them right meow, because they're going.
And who are these people? So
Kyle Kinane is a comedian. He's been on Comedy Central, HBO. He has specials. He's released a bunch of records. He's a comics comic, but he's also very popular. He's very, very funny. And then Dave Stone is another comic. He's originally from Atlanta, and he's released a bunch of records as well. And they used to do a podcast called The Boogie Monster. And recently they went on a hiatus, an indefinite hiatus. But we're friends with Dave Stone, and Kyle is already going to be headlining at the festival. So we said, hey, Dave, do you want to come do a show? And then also you and Kyle want to do a Boogie Monster episode? And they were like, yeah, let's do it. So Dave Stone will be headlining the final night of Comedy Fest as well. So
big announcement.
In the afternoon, it's a 2 p.m. show or a 3 p.m. show. Kyle Kinane and Dave Stone doing a live Boogie Monster recording, and they'll probably be interviewing some Comedy Fest admittees, the comedians in the fest. And then that night, Dave Stone will close out the fest at the final night, headlining, and his tickets are on sale, and they're selling well as well. That show's going to sell it as well. And I'm telling you right now, podcast will sell out. Dave Stone will sell out. Todd Barry will sell out. Kelly Ryan will sell out. And Kyle is at the Pabst Theater. There are tickets left, but I wouldn't wait. I'm serious. mkecomedyfest.com for all those tickets. And we're going to be announcing the other shows in the coming months. So,
and remind people when the Comedy Fest is.
October 1st through the 8th at various locations throughout Milwaukee, including but not limited to the Laughing Tap, Dandy, Pabst Theater, Shank Hall, possibly VAR Gallery. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
But I love that you have shows during the day.
Oh yeah, so our Saturday and Sundays, we always like to have shows during the day because we want to give opportunities to performers to perform. During the week, that's Sunday, the first night through the Wednesday, there's only a show a night because it's weeknights and we don't want to overburden people to come out to stuff. But we'll have a full official schedule coming out very soon, including names of people who've been admitted to the festival. And it's going to be really fun. But that, like I said, that Kyle Kinane, Dave Stone podcast recording is they're going to be gone.
Where's the show? I mean, where's the live recording going to happen?
Laughing Tap. Dave
Nice.
Stone show, and the live recording of the podcast will be at the Laughing Tap. It'll be really, really fun. And also, if you had your heart set on getting Barron's Brothers tickets for next month, too bad they are already sold out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you open tickets for that months in advance, or is it only
1 month in advance?
Okay, so you can't buy it for the following month yet.
No, we tried to do that, but unfortunately, people were buying I want to get my June tickets. They buy July tickets, so we want them to buy June tickets anyway. So usually, the day or the following Monday after the show, we open the tickets up for the next one. And the Barron's one goes fast, and it's gone.
Man can draw a crowd.
He's really good at art. He can really draw them. He gets that real that sense of longing in their eyes when he's just getting off the stage. Like, come back, Charlie. I want more laughter. Talk about Quick Trip. Talk about the Packers.
Talk about bags inside of bags.
Talk about milk versus milk. But yeah, and also on another note too, Chastity Washington, who I consider the queen of Milwaukee comedy, the best comic in the city, absolutely amazing human being, just released her new special, Chastity Washington Live at Dandy, which was recorded at Dandy, which is a venue and a cool vintage store here in Milwaukee. She recorded that, and it's now finally released. It's on Amazon Prime. You can watch it there. You will laugh so hard. We streamed it last night at the Tap, and people were laughing as hard, if not harder, than the audience watching the original recording. And when she got done, the audience in the recording gave her a standing ovation, and the audience in the room gave her a standing ovation. She is just pure joy, pure talent, pure everything. She is just a wonderful human being. Chastity Washington live at Dandy on Amazon Prime right now.
That's cool.
Very cool.
I will watch that tonight.
Please, you will absolutely love it, Jane. Report back, please.
You got it.
And then is this the 18th year?
Correct.
It's an adult.
It is an adult. Get a job.
You've raised an adult.
Milwaukee Comedy Festival. Get a job. Yeah, it's 18 years, and I'm like, hey.
And you've been involved all 18 years?
No, okay. I've performed at many of them, but I've been involved as a employee or like a main producer or in some capacity for the past 7-8 years, maybe 9 years. I don't know. It all blurs together now. I don't remember when I came on board as the comms director, and then I moved up to producer, and now it's me, Caitlin, and Matt.
Yeah.
But not just us. We have a lot of help. We have a lot of friends who help out. So I don't want to make it seem like it's only us who do the work. But yeah, been a long time, and it's been a lot of fun. And before we know it, it's here. Like it's weird. It creeps up on you.
Yeah.
And then it's over. And then we're at brunch at the Noble.
But if you are listening and you're outside of Milwaukee and you love comedy, it's a good time to come to Milwaukee and see a lot of comedy, because there's gonna be a lot of shows that week of
oh my gosh, yeah.
October 1st through the 8th.
At least a dozen.
I will be giving birth, so I won't be there.
Wow. Thanks,
next year,
friend.
We'll bring the comedy to you.
But
Chris
that'll
and Brian.
also be our 2-year anniversary of friendship, because the way we really started to become friends is I volunteered because I wanted to be more involved in the comedy scene in Milwaukee. So I just emailed you, and I was like,
2021.
Yeah, I was like, hey, can I volunteer? And then you and Caitlin were like, yeah, we know who you are.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
We were like, I can't believe she wants to hang out with us.
All right. Well, that is the end of the show. Flew by. Tomorrow we actually have County Executive David Crowley is going to be here to talk about where we're at with the sales tax. So that'll be fun. That's at 10:30 tomorrow. Then we'll do public service announcement, and Mike Clemens will give us a sports update. Big show halfway through the week. Stay safe out there with the air. Come back tomorrow. This has been As Goes Wisconsin.
That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. I feel it.